Yo, 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 yo,
What
yo.
up, what
We
up?
back at it again. It is another episode of the Weekend Rhyme. We were gone for a couple weeks, but we back at it. You know what I'm saying? We returned with a great
Right.
show tonight. What's up, Leroy? What's good with you, brother?
What's good? I'm chilling. Hip hop always on deck, man. We've been gone for a minute, but always working, man. Always working. Believe that in the hip hop space. So we got stuff on the way and just, keeping it moving. So but you see us today. So what up? Yeah, man.
You see us today. And the reason why we were delayed, I had some good personal things. My son's birthdays are my wife, my son's, and my birthday are back to back to back to back to back. So the end of March, early April is birthday time, right? So every weekend for the last 3 weeks, so the last month, it's been birthday celebration after birthday celebration. So that's the reason for the absence. But we're back tonight. We could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Got a great show. We're going to talk about the Nas announcement on IG, what that means, what do we expect, what's coming. We'll talk about the
Yep.
legacy of DMX, and also we'll talk about the new visuals of Kendrick Lamar and SZA from Luther. But we got a great show. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling rejuvenated. Back at it. But yeah, man. So let's get into the Nas announcement, right? So Nas over
Right.
the last week put out on IG that there were gonna be 7 icons dropping albums. I think they're all gonna be on Mass Appeal.
Mm,
Rumor has it it's gonna be Ghostface, Raekwon, Slick Rick, also the Nas and Primo collaboration joint, and
right.
somebody else in there. I forgot the other artist that may be in the mix. Leroy, what's the other artist that's in the mix?
Big L and De La
Mob
Soul
Deep, Mob Deep, Mob Deep.
and Mob Deep.
Yeah, so the
Mob
Mobb
Deep.
Deep album, Big L, Nas and Primo. And it's reminded me of it reminded me of the old Def Jam days. Like back in the day, it was like Def Jam 2000 when they did that
Mm,
rollout with Meth and Red, and I think it was Def Squad. So back in the day, record companies would roll out releases kind of like back to back to back. And Kanye did this. He did it with the Good Friday series with the singles, but he did the in the Wyoming sessions. He did I think Tiana Taylor, he did Pusha T, he did his joint. And I think he did the Nas Nasir joint. So there's always been waves of artists and record labels putting out a wave of music. And I think it's dope. I'm looking forward to the Slick Rick album. I'm looking forward to the Mob Deep joint. I know Alchemist has been
yeah.
talking about that for years. Nas and Primo, we've talked about ad nauseum on here. The Raekwon, I'm hearing great things about Raekwon. RZA was on Breakfast Club saying that he got one of them things, could be a classic. Ghostface,
Ray always got one. Ray always got one.
yeah, he always got one of them things. Supreme Clientele Part Two, that's been talking about for about at least about 5 to 6 years. Never came about. But yeah, I'm excited. What say you, Leroy?
Well, it's good and bad, you know what I mean? Like life, you know what I mean? I've been working a lot, and I haven't been here sometimes, but it's I'm rolling with the punches of life, right? Just like all the other artists. When it comes to promoting a group of albums that come out at one time, when you compare them to Def Jam was very good at promotion. Now, I'm not comparing the whole thing, the Nas's whole thing to Def Jam because Def Jam was a bigger machine, right? And I got love for Nas, right? This is why I make the critiques I do. I did. If I didn't have love for Nas, I think I would just say, well, everything he does is the greatest thing ever. I don't think that's love. You know what I mean? I think the certain things need to be said because you actually care about the artist. And I'm gonna get back to that point about DMX later. However, I'm gonna say this. I think when Kanye was in that bag, when Nas was in that bag, is like the later years of Rockefeller, right before they fell off. But what I mean is, when an artist has already become successful, to me, I don't think it matters anymore to them. Like, I don't think promotion matters because I don't see them promoting. So, and now people are going to take that the wrong way. They're going to say, well, Nas doesn't have to promote. He's Nas. He doesn't need to do anything. I understand what you're saying, right? And that is true. However, later we come back and we say, well, these people aren't looking out for Nas. These people aren't playing Nas record. These people are not promoting Nas. What I respectfully want to get through is that I think promoting by going to platforms or promoting online or on social media, I think that's a good thing. And I don't think you can it's always good to be at a place where you're so high to where you feel like I don't need to talk to nobody. Now, again, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way because I know that Nas is probably not thinking like that, but he does know that okay, I'm Nas, so I don't have to say anything. I'm just Nas. But for when you have several acts, Slick Rick, um, Ghostface, Raekwon, uh, other acts, Run the Jewels, a De La Soul, a Mob Deep with Havoc. The promotion behind these things, I think, is a good thing because not all of these names are going to carry the same amount of weight as Nas's name. So I would just like to. I hope that there's um some interviews maybe, and if not, maybe a video, maybe a promotional trailer, something that will generate some type of thing where we could talk about later to this generation about why it matters. If I'm explaining to a person, a young person, why Slick Rick matters, to me that's a no-brainer, right? Because I'm from that era. But how do I explain that? It would be easier if there was some promotion attached to that that I could talk about that's current. Do you know what I'm saying? So that with the promo for that, I would like to just see that. When Kanye was doing it, I don't think he, I don't think he promoted, as well as he could have because I think he's like, well, I'm Kanye. Why would I promote for it? But it's like I think those things help, and I think those things matter, and I think those things come in handy as far as the projects themselves. Slick Rick, art of storytelling was 1999. That was 25 years ago. Master of storytelling. You know what I mean? Master of storytelling. Also, he's just witty. He's just a witty. Now he'll be 60 years old, but I need this to happen. Like I need to see artists getting older and still being nice. Like, you know what I mean? So, Ghostface, Supreme Clientele 2, um, production. I would like to hear that. I see Kanye's name was attached to the project. I'm not tripping, just whatever sounds good. However, I always felt like the guy that Ghost needs to make albums with has always been right next to him. And I feel like that's Raekwon because I feel like Raekwon has always had a super ear for beats in Wu Tang. When you listen to his own albums, those beats is always fire. So it's like I hope that Raekwon is right there with Ghostface with this Supreme Clientele 2 thing. And I already know Ray is gonna have some fire. So, and with the Mob Deep thing, it's a special project. Prodigy is not here. We'll see how that goes. But a lot of people have said great things about Prodigy over the years, including a lot of the greats. So it would be dope if we heard some interludes on there or some skits on there, maybe of some great artists talking about how great they thought Prodigy was. I think that would be fire. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm happy that Nas is doing these things. Is it easy? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? But later when we say, well, they're not doing nothing for Nas, it's like in my mind, and I could be wrong. I think if Nas makes a phone call, his records get played. Honestly, I think all he has to do is be like, "I'm Nas," boop, and a button's getting pressed. Because who is gonna be out here to be like, "Oh, you're Nas," and hang up on Nas? Who's gonna do that in this game? So you know,
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, there's a tour that goes along with it. I think that'll be dope. As far as Supreme Clientele too, I'm nervous about that project because that's a big, 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 big. That's a tall order to follow, right? It's kind of like Only Built for
yep,
Cuban Links 2. They kind of, the Purple Tape 2 was dope. I mean, it wasn't the original, but this is a
it's
big,
fire.
big, big, big shoes to fill, man. You got Church A. Lagos, you got Apollo Kids, you got Nutmeg, you got Saturday
Right.
Night, you got One, you got a lot of records, you know what I'm saying? Ghost Dini, you know what I'm saying? You got a lot of records that you're gonna have to come with. I don't know. We talked about, I think Savon and Mike talked about sequels on the last show. It's a tricky thing, right? I'm trying to think of a sequel that lived up to the
I lived
original.
up to it.
I mean, I'm talking about the movies. He's talking about Friday, next Friday, Friday after next.
Right.
Maybe Terminator 2. Terminator 2, T2,
Terminator
Judgment
2 was
Day.
better
That
than
was
1.
yeah, maybe The Dark Knight was better than Batman Begins. Um,
Yeah.
maybe Logan was better than, the one of them Wolverine joints. I'm trying to
I
think. I'm
I
trying to
do
think.
think hip hop, not to cut you, but I do think hip hop albums, the release of hip hop albums should be treated like when movies are released. Now, if you think about how large that gap is between music and movies, how much ground do we have to cover? So that's why it's like when I get on here and I say these things, I'm really hoping that the people support these ideas, engage with these ideas, and offer uh, some ways that we can get there. Because again, think about it. I want to make when albums drop as impactful as when a movie drops. How much further do we got to go to get there? We have to go quite a ways. So that's why I'm just saying the promotion bag, I think we need to dip more into that bag. With sequels, I don't think chasing the first one is a good idea, because I think you kind of set yourself up for just disappointment. So I think just going in a different direction with kind of some things that harken back to part one is probably the best idea. So with Supreme Clientele one, it has a particular sound. So we get that sound, right? And we just have that sound in our minds. Now we start creating part two. And as long as we have that sound aesthetic in our mind, then I think part two is doable. But I wouldn't suggest trying to make it exactly like part one or too close to part one, because you'll create a comparison and then people will just say is they're disappointed. You know what I mean? So that's my whole thing. But I'm sure he got it, man.
Let,
You know?
let's go. Let's go through this here because let's talk about the hip hop sequels real quick. Or just sequels in general. I
Okay.
want to go through this train. Matrix Reloaded wasn't as good as the Matrix. Um, I'm just going. Let's go film. Let's go film,
It
and let's go
was it
mute.
was still good though. It was still,
The Blueprint 2 was not better than the Blueprint, the original Blueprint.
But to who though? I mean,
I mean, I'm just
to
saying
us,
it's not as
yes.
well regarded as the Blueprint 1. I mean, the Blueprint, the
It's
first
not.
Blueprint seemed like a more cohesive body of work than the Blueprint 2. The Blueprint 2, when they put Blueprint 2.1, like the release, when they cut some of the songs off, that was more of a cohesive project. You know what I'm saying? They trimmed some of the
Right.
fat off. You know what I'm saying? Blueprint 3, though, some would say was better than Blueprint 2. You know what I mean?
But Jay is smart in the sense where when Blueprint 2 was coming out, he was saying this is not Blueprint 1. Like I don't want to sound like Blueprint 1. So I'm just saying, like, he literally was talking about how he picked the samples to go a certain way, and it was about celebration, having a good time. And because he said he was in a zone of like when his parents were used to throw parties and just have a good time. Now when you listen to Blueprint 2, there's a lot of fun records on there. So it's like that was the goal. Now we didn't like that because we're hardcore tough guys. But the goal at the time was just to have fun. You know what I mean? And so not to Kate, but I'm just using that Jay as an example because all the artists, I feel like trying to chase that first one may be a bad idea. You may want to just go left, you know what I mean? And so
Jermaine
pushing
John
orange juice too. The singles are sounding real good. Go
Jermaine
ahead.
Johnson makes a good point. Chronic 2001 was a dope album. It was a good follow up, good sequel to the Chronic. I don't know if it has the Chronic sonically, but I think it was a good
It,
sequel.
yeah, but Dre went completely left. The Chronic 2001 sounds nothing like the Chronic. That was the best idea he could do.
Right, right. That's a good observation. Oh yeah. OJ Weston says the Carter 2 was better than 1. I can yeah. Carter 2 and 3.
Matt Max saying BP3 was not as good. The comparison is a fail right there. If you compare a Jay Z album to another Jay Z album, it's an automatic fail
But yeah, but I'm
because
saying the reason
you
why the
could hear
comparison is
that
there,
they're
the
too
reason why the
different.
comparison is there is because of the name, right? That's why we compare
Yes,
it. Like Godfather 1,
that's
Godfather
true.
2,
True.
Godfather 3. You know what I'm saying?
True.
If he would have named it something else, then it could. But now when you name it the same thing, it ties it all together. You know what I mean? So,
I do think this, and if people tell me like that year, I was listening to Raekwon all that year. I was listening to Cuban Links too. I wasn't really tripping off BP3, right? But I think BP3 should be studied seriously, even by people that hate it. Because if you don't like it, I'm with you. I could see you why I could hear why you not like it. The reason why I think it should be studied though is it's like when it comes to that stadium type music, that I think that should be studied. I think if an artist says I want to make one album and just never rap again, and I want to be successful off making one album, if you study that album, that blueprint is right there. Now again, we
ooh,
don't like them type of radio songs, but if you would like to be an artist that gets played on the radio and be famous, like I just want to be famous, I think the blueprint is in Blueprint 3. You know what I mean?
ooh, my man said. My man Shah Sun said that Stillmatic is better than Illmatic. I don't know about that one, B. I don't know about that one. I don't know about
Nah.
that one.
I mean, I wasn't really into Stillmatic like that. I'm gonna be honest, but I will give Nas credit for the creativity behind Stillmatic. But if I got to compare it to Illmatic, you see what I'm saying? Like that comparison just does not make sense to my ear. You know what I mean? So you know, I'm not always happy with Nas's stuff either. Like Nas has incredible albums, but some albums the I Am that just came up, right? Because this past few weeks, people were going over I Am and the anniversary of that. I wasn't thrilled by I Am when it came out, you know what I mean? And there are some great songs on there. I Want to Talk to You, Nas is like, New York State of Mind too. Um, the song with DMX. There are dope songs on there, but I wasn't thrilled with that, and that's not his fault. That's just him trying to be creative, and in that trying to be creative, you're gonna have missteps, right? You're gonna have big things where you're not catching the beat because all the way because you're trying to be creative. I would rather Nas fail at trying to be creative than to succeed at doing layups, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? So
It does. It does. I wish we would have got. Um, I know this is might be a statement that's kind of wild, but I think there could have been a Watch the Throne Part Two that would have been dope. I really think that would have been a good sequel. I think there was
nah,
more music that could have been made. It had a lot. You got Gotta Have It on that joint. You got That's My B on that joint. No Church in a While. You got the
I don't think
Joy. You got the
yeah.
Joy. You got
I don't think there's nothing they could have done extra. I think that was it. Like I think that's the highest pinnacle of Jay and Nas.
No, I
I
think they could have. I think they could have revisited about 5 years
some
later, and they could have
yeah,
made something different in
yeah.
different spaces. I think Kids See
But
Ghosts, Ye, Kanye, and Kid Cudi, that project could have had a successor. I think they sounded naturally working together. It was that kind of that weirdo spaced out rap. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
The melodic rap that Kid Cudi and Kanye kind of refined in the early 2000, 2010, 2008. You know what I'm saying? The early aughts. I think that would have worked.
I wasn't really into that, man. And I get it of being creative, but I think you make albums once. You don't make them twice. That's me. I would make a certain kind of album once, and I would never make that again because that makes it special. Now, if I make it again, then it's kind of like I'm just repeating it, you know. So if Watch the Throne 2, if it's gonna be a repeat of one, that's repeating it. You know what I mean? So and then one covers so much ground sonically that it doesn't leave any room for part two. Because where would you go sonically? Like where? There's nowhere else to go. Well, there is. There's always someplace else to go. Like but still, I don't think they want to go there. Like I just listened to a new Onyx album, and sorry, y'all, I grew up on Onyx MOP. I'm that way. The Onyx, it was fire to me. But if someone else listens to that, it may be too boom bap. It's just too boom bap for them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I think you should do something once, and move out the way.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. I feel you, but I think maybe they can name it something else. But Super had
Jay
me go
definitely
back.
will never work with Kanye ever in
No,
his
no, I'm not
life.
saying that. I'm saying I'm talking about Future and Drake. Super had made
Uh,
me think about the "What a Time to Be Alive" album on the last show. Made the last show we did on a Thursday, and I went back and listened to it because it's been a while since I listened to that joint. Future
right.
and Drake had chemistry, man. Um, and Drake is actually sliding on some of
Man.
those records. You know what I'm saying? I think they could have made another album, and I mean, even Drake and 21 Savage. You know what I'm saying? 21. I mean, those he has an ability to work with different artists. I don't think he gets a lot of credit for it. Drake has the
Yeah.
ability to work with different artists and sound good and have chemistry with different artists. Not a lot of people can do that. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people can work with a Rick
Well,
Ross, a Little Wayne, a Nicki,
mhm,
even the weekend stuff he made, Future, Metro, um, I mean,
mhm.
21,
Party next
a
door.
lot, Party Next Door, a lot of different artists he can seamlessly kind of blend in and kind of work with, and it sounds like some good dope records. I wouldn't mind seeing if a Future and Drake collabo again or Future and 21. Drake
Yeah,
has
I'm
that
over.
ability. People hate on Drake. People hate on Drake, but Drake has that ability to work with different artists, and it comes off seamlessly to me.
Yeah, well, I hear you, and I'm with that. But me, after I already get an album, I don't need any more, like, because I already got it. You know what I mean? That's why also why people be like, Jay's not outside. It's like I don't need him to be outside because I already got his old albums already. I'll just play those. Do you know what I'm saying? Now I know that people they always like new and stuff like that. When you have someone like Drake, Drake has done everything you can do musically. Do you know what I'm saying? Like literally, he's done everything. Unless he were to start venturing out in a total different genre, you know what I mean? But everything on the black side of music, he has done. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm happy if he just said, "Yeah, oh, I'm done," because what else is he gonna do?
Right.
What else can he?
I went back and listened to that joint on the plug. I forgot how dope that song was, man. Drake was sliding on that record, man. I mean,
Yeah,
sliding on that record. But
yeah, and I
yeah,
mean, Drake is Drake. Yeah, man.
yeah. So I would like to see that. I'd like to see 21 and him do another album. I like to see him in Future do one. Maybe Metro will do the beats. Maybe they can patch that up. Maybe Metro will do the beats. But I think there's some more pause meat on that bone that they can whip up some more music, and I think it'll be dope. And it wouldn't sound forced. It just sounds effortlessly, man. So I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to that.
no,
But you know,
yeah. He knows what he's doing. Like Drake knows what he's doing. If anything, right? I would like to hear Drake come back and say, you know what? Everybody feels a certain way about me. I'm just going to rap. I'm gonna prove to y'all that I rap
and you know
because
what? And you know what?
that's
I
what
think
y'all asking for.
you know
So
what? And you know what though? When I think about it in hip hop, now they're totally different artists, right? Jay Z's a more, more vastly superior MC when it comes to writing, pen game, lyricism, rhymes, rhyme pattern
yeah,
schemes. Let's not compare them from an MC perspective, right? When you
mhm,
look at the trajectory of their careers and what Jay did, like as far as linking up with different people, like he worked with the Neptunes, he worked with Timbaland, he worked with Sauce Money, he worked with Puff, he worked with he had records with Juvenile, he jumped on those, he worked
everybody.
with he worked with Foxy. He worked with a lot of different people. He worked with Primo.
Mm,
Um, hit a record with Linkin Park when he did the
Dr.
mashup.
Dre.
He had the Roots as his backing band on the Unplugged when he was working with Jaguar Wright.
Yep.
He worked with Dr. Dre. He had the ability. I mean, he worked with early Drake. He signed J. Cole.
I mean,
Um,
that was smart of him. That was smart of him to
Jermaine
work
Dupri,
with
Money Ain't
everybody.
a Thing
Yeah.
record. You know what I'm saying? He worked with DMX. He worked with the Locks. Um, he worked with
I mean, that's
MOP. You know what I'm
smart.
saying? He worked with MOP a lot early days. So Jay had the ability to kind of work. He worked with Justin Timberlake. He worked. You know what I'm saying? He did a
If you
record with
have the
Eminem. You know what I'm saying? So
if you
Jay,
have the ability to hop on any beat, why not use
but
it?
I'm saying what my point is this: Jay early he kind of set the precedent to work with a lot of different people, right? And he
Right.
was always he did like the Legends of the Fall tour. with Eminem. And I think he did another tour with Justin Timberlake. He went on tour with Coldplay. Then he went on tour
Yeah,
with U2. Then he worked with Kanye for a little bit. Then he worked with Just. Drake took that formula 15 years later and kind of took it to another level, working with Nicki, working with Wayne, working with Birdman, you know what I'm saying? Working with Party Next Door, The Weeknd. So they kind of Jay kind of took that form. Drake kind of took that formula of Jay collaborating with different artists, and he kind of
yeah.
perfected it, and he kind of ran with it for 15 years. And I will say this: he might have perfected it because, again, when people knock Jay sometime, like the Snoopy track with Juvenile, right? People laugh at that joint. That was on Volume 3. Um, I mean, it sounds more natural when Drake does it, as opposed when Jay did it back in the day. Some of those songs kind of sound dated. Some of those songs don't sound quite naturally artistically.
I don't
Um,
understand the concept of dated, but
well,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hear you.
Well, some records do
If I
sound
made a
dated.
song in '98, then I want it to sound like '98. I don't want it to sound like 2025 because I made it in '98.
Well,
But
what
I
about
mean, I
music
get
that
your point.
transcends time, though? What about music you can put
Yeah,
on
but
and it
I don't
doesn't
need it
sound
to
like an era,
transcend.
though?
I don't need it to. Why do I need it to transcend time? I don't need that. Like, I still listen to Illmatic. I don't need Illmatic to ever transcend time for me. As long as it sounds like '94, I'm perfectly happy with that. But I mean, I get the point though, because I don't want to. I don't want to act like I don't hear what people are saying. But it's just that some people, they reach such a height with that music you call dated that it must have been good. Do you know what I
It's
mean?
like them
So it's
kits.
like
It's like them kits, some R&B kits, just like the New
it
Jack
must
Swing
have been good.
kits. I mean, the
But
New Jack
to
Swing
your
kits
point,
were good
yeah, go
for
ahead,
their
go ahead.
time. The New Jack, those R&B kits. It sounds dated. It sounds like their time, but it don't sound
Yeah,
like Earth, Wind, and Fire record that didn't use those type of instrumentations.
that's why I get what you're saying.
It transcended time. You know what I'm saying? Or a
That's why
Prince
I understand.
record. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what. But to that point, though, let's say I want to make a drill song in 2025. What I'm telling you is I don't want to transcend time, because if I say, okay, I'm gonna make a drill song today, I'm telling you I'm not trying to be timeless. I just want to make a drill song. So I think that there's room to not be timeless. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes you want to capture time. You don't want to be timeless. Like if I make a drill song today, I want to capture now. I don't want to capture later. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the but I do, again, I understand people are they're using timeless to mean classic. So I understand what you're going. When it comes to your point that you just made about Jay and Drake, I think Jay has always been comfortable in who he is. He says, "I'm a hustler." So when I rap, I'm going to give you the perspective of a hustler. So whatever Jay does musically, I think that anchor is okay. We know we're listening to a hustler. Drake, I don't know if he ever established a strong personality trait that even when he jumps into Caribbean stuff, Canada stuff, R&B stuff, pop stuff, hip hop stuff, electronic stuff, if that core aesthetic of his personality was ever embedded as strongly as Jay, when you hear Jay, you know, okay, here comes the hustler. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna drop a jewel that has to do with business because he's business minded. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, if someone says that Drake did it better, I would say Drake did it for a longer consistency of time. If we're talking about genre hopping and we're talking about success, right? Drake has uncountable amount of successful songs, right? So we could say that. But as far as stronger records, I think Jay is stronger personality wise. Like I think his personality is stronger on a beat than Drake, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt, and that makes sense. The only point I was making is that he has the ability to really work with different artists, and it comes across
No doubt.
cohesively, right? Yeah, like when the examples was 21 Savage and Future. But let's go to this movie thing again before we move on to the next subject. Next subject we're going to talk about is DMX, his legacy, his life, and some music. We picked out 20 of our favorite on According to Hip Hop. We picked out 20 of our favorite DMX songs. We want to talk about that and get some of yours as well. But sequels, man, sequels.
Mhm.
Did you watch the original Batman in 1988 with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton? You remember that
Of
one?
course. I
Okay.
went to the movies, you know, I went with my parents and watched it and was amazed, like, you know what I'm
I
saying?
thought I thought Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer and was Catwoman and Penguin. That wasn't a bad sequel. I thought the movie was dope. I
Yeah, I
thought the
liked
mo
it. I liked it. Yeah.
didn't disappoint. And some people can argue it was a better movie than the first one. Even though I do like, the 1989 joint is a classic. I
Yeah,
went to a showing of it because I'm a big Batman fan, which is kind of
dope.
ironic because it has
So
some
so
kind.
you I how you feel about the new one? But go ahead, the latest
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. The new one is dope. The new one is dope. But I went to a screening of the film where they had like the orchestra. They was playing like I think who did that? Hans Zimmer might have did the I think Hans
Okay.
Zimmer did the score. And so they was playing the music, you know what I'm saying? And Prince did the soundtrack, obviously one of the best soundtracks of all time. And it
Yeah.
was dope. It was a dope experience. But I thought Batman Returns was dope. I'm trying to
Mhm.
think. You remember Belly 2?
Yeah, I don't wanna remember it, but I remember it.
Belly 2 was whack. Look,
Peace to game. I'm sorry, game, but, you know, respectfully.
yes, respectfully. I think they made a Shottas 2 too. They made Shottas 2. I don't think I felt that one either.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one.
Did they make I'm About It? No, they made I Got the Hookup too, or I'm About It too. Um,
Batman is a good case study though because you have good Batman movies and bad ones. Um, Normally the good ones they kind of go off and do their own type of thing, you know what I mean? And the bad ones kind of exaggerate, like the one with Val Kilmer. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. He recently passed, but I think that they went too far with like the Poison Ivy, Mister Freeze, and different things. It became kind of cartoonish, you know what I mean? And I think they went too far. So when you have something like The Dark Knight coming back, now it gets back to being a serious movie, and which I like. And even the newer one too, they bring back the detective aspect of Batman. Because remember back in the day, he was like a detective too. You know what I mean?
he was the world's greatest detective according to the comic books. The world's greatest
Right,
detective.
right. So this is how he's able to find the guys he's looking for because he has a detective eye. I think should have a strong eye with hip hop, but it's like that was a good thing to include that. Now I do think the next Batman could be very good, or they could try to exaggerate and go too far. And and both, I'm fine with both, right? But if we're gonna exaggerate things, we have to keep the aesthetic that we're in. Batman, the dark guy, the detective guy. If we're gonna try to merge him into Superman's world, it can get sticky. You know what I mean? So I don't know where DC wants to go. Obviously, they're gonna say we're here for the money. You know, so we're gonna try to merge Batman into Superman's world. Just be careful because that last Batman versus Superman, it to me, it was just a bad movie, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to it. And also, I'm not a hater of. I thought Ben Affleck did a good job as Batman. I saw that a lot of people hate on his interpretation, but I thought he did a
yeah,
good job. I wish he had a standalone movie. There's one movie I wish would have had a sequel, and we're gonna get into DMX in 1 second. Y'all remember a movie by Luc Besson? It was called Leon
don't forget Kendrick.
The Professional.
The Professional is super classic.
I wish they would
Love
have
that
made
movie.
a sequel. I know Natalie Portman was talking about she was going to grow up and she was going to become an assassin. It was going to become Matilda, and it just never came to be. Maybe it can
Hilda.
still happen, but the Professional Leon classic film, man,
It
it
was
needs a
supposed
sequel.
to happen. It was supposed to happen, and that movie got turned into Colombiana with Zoe Saldana, and that was a misstep. They should have just let it happen and create a Matilda because that Professional movie is one of the best movies that you could see. Like it's just there's a lot undertone in that movie, right? You know what I mean? But when they tried to turn it into Colombiana, which is two different movies, but we know it was kind of supposed to be Matilda, that was a misstep. You know what I mean?
Man, come on, make
Yeah.
Matilda Part Two. Or make Matilda Natalie Portman. That'll be the best, one of the best
Right.
movies of all time. I'll be there the first day to see it.
Wow.
Gladiator 2 We talked about that on the show. Gladiator 2. It had some dope elements,
I,
but
I liked
it
it.
I
I liked
liked
it.
it. It
Yeah.
didn't live up to Gladiator 1. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't, you know.
Well, yeah, yeah, part 1 is too epic, and this is why if you make something that's too epic, I think you should just bow out. You know what I mean? Because it's the scale of it is too grand to be overcome. It's like trying to make a Braveheart 2. Nah. Nah, you just leave Braveheart right where it's at. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I'm not mad at Gladiator 2 because I do think they put their best foot forward, and I do think they really tried to, so and it got close. There's some aspects of it that got close. Maybe I'm just a big Denzel Washington fan, so I'm overlooking some things. I don't know, but something like a Training Day. Once you make Training Day, you leave that alone. You don't ever go back and try to make a double day. Try to make two. Nah, you leave that. It's too
Yeah,
it's too good of a movie. You know what I mean?
you leave it alone. You leave it alone and let it be. But
Yeah.
anyway, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite sequels are. Let us know if you're looking forward to the Supreme Clientele Part 2. Let us know what your favorite hip hop sequel. I know Orange Juice and Kush is coming out with Wiz Khalifa. So a lot of sequels, a lot of sequels. But let's get into DMX. DMX this week, it marked the fourth year of his passing. Time is flying. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, his legacy. DMX was one of those guys, man, that kind of made me, I was a youngster when he came out, but he kind of brought, a passion and kind of reinvigorated hip hop. His voice was like unique, right? It was like a mix of like it was just like it was lyrical. It was it was lyrical. It was aggressive. It was spiritual. He had the joints for the ladies. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of mixed a lot of different things together that gave you this package that was just it was unpredictable. He was like a hip hop rock star in a way, right? He was like an evolution of you know uh, of a street cat, mixing with the Pac had the appeal of Pac, but he also
Yeah.
had he had the edge and the wildness of like the charisma of a wild charisma like ODB, if that makes sense, right? You know what I'm saying?
I
Just
got you.
and then he was also
Unpredictable.
deep and he was spiritual. He had spiritual records, and he was like a street he was like a street professor, street orator, and
Mm.
again, his impact was timeless, man. He was like a true rock star, man. I think about the Woodstock '99 when he's out there and he's got man, I don't know how many people was out there, maybe 200,000. I don't know how many people, 100,000 people just going crazy. I mean, he's out there with rock bands. He's out there with the Limp Bizkits and the Corns and the Rage Against the Machines, but he's holding his own, and he was just a captivating artist, man. He was a dog, and yeah, we 101. I don't think we'll ever see anybody like DMX again. And on top of that, he had dope ass music. So when you think of
Well,
DMX, his legacy, what comes to mind, my
again,
boy?
it's gonna be some good. It's gonna be some bad because I'm just gonna keep it honest because these are the feelings I thought when he first emerged and I was still a kid and I had the same opinion as a kid, right? Do I think there'll be another DMX? No. And if there is, I think that we should not listen. You know what I mean? Because if someone is coming with a certain level of pain, would it be better for us to vulture off that or get that person help? Now that's another topic, and we don't have to go all the way there, but I feel like um again, asking him to do 2 albums in 1 year, I think that was a bit much. But just talent wise, yes. I mean, you have somebody who was rapping for a long time, and this is I want to dispel the myth that people think you just show up rapping good because you're just born to rap good. That's always been fake. These guys have worked on their craft for years and years and years and years and years before you see them. So when they show up rapping good, it's not because they just want I want to rap and then I write classics that same day. That's not what happened. You know what I mean? So DMX had been rapping for a very long time before he showed up. So the fundamentals was there. He plays both sides, right? What I mean is good and evil because I think that's both, right? And I think for people, I think Kendrick Lamar is in the same vein, and people gonna say will say, well, how? I mean, they're two different, blah blah blah. When people talk about Kendrick's contradictions, if you show me someone that doesn't contradict themselves, I don't think they exist on planet Earth. I've never met that person ever in my life. So Kendrick's contradictions is DMX contradictions, right? Because he's going to give you Dark Man X, then he's going to give you a prayer after he just murders 10 people on the song. You know what I mean? So that speaks to a contradiction that exists in all humans. It's literally part of your DNA. So I think we need to get out of the contradiction argument, right? But no, he was a great artist. Just that raw to the street. People say, well, he took Puff off his square. They're the same machine. DMX was coming in with Def Jam. Diddy Bad Boy is very close to Def Jam. It's the same team. You know, he gives a shout out to them on his first single. You know, to Bad Boy. You know what I mean? Get at me, dog. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, even though yes, he was the antithesis, he's also the he's also the same vein as them. You know what I mean? He wants to party too. He wants to make records for the ladies too. It's just that he's speaking to what he's more comfortable with, and that's the dark man. And what I will give him credit for is the shadow self, right? The dark side of your personality. How can you articulate that and make that be loved, right? So what I'm saying is the murderous aspect of your personality, right? It is a thing to make that be loved. And I think that a lot of rappers try to do that, but they just exploit the full darkness. You know, I drill on people and that's all I do. I'm just a total 100% killer. And that's fine if you want to present yourself that way. I'm not necessarily with that, but if you're comfortable doing that, fine. DMX, he could go there, but there's some little pieces of humanity that you hear in his songs which make you see, though this is like a human, a full human. You know what I mean? And I will give him credit for that dichotomy, even though he leaned into the darker side, because to write those type of songs is difficult. It's difficult to write a slipping. It's difficult to write a Damien, stop being greedy, let me fly, look into my eyes. It's not the easiest thing to write these things, right? And he even had style too, like Who We Be, right? So you know, he was a full artist. The bad thing is if there is a person that shows up like DMX, right? Do we just listen and pray, yay, we love this guy? Or do we say, hold up, what this guy is doing, he obviously is in pain. Like it's not a he's not acting like he's in pain. We can look at him and literally see he's a tortured soul. Should we put the headphones down and then should they go get him help?
Well, no,
You know
that's
what I mean?
part of it, but that's part of the there's the musicians have always been in pain, and that's some of the I know it's
To DMX
exploitive.
level?
It's exploitive in a bit, but I mean that some of the best artists have been troubled, you know, quote unquote troubled souls and had pain. You know what I'm saying? You can hear the pain in
Right.
DMX's voice. Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Uh,
So we should have got them help.
no,
Kurt
I mean they
Cobain
they
was
got to
in
get
pain.
themselves help. It's not our point. It's not incumbent upon us to get them help. It's upon their
Okay, so
family and friends to get them help. But some
I'm just
artists
saying
don't
we
want
call
help. Like
ourselves culture.
Kurt Cobain of Nirvana, allegedly, you know, took his life because he didn't want to go back to rehab. He didn't want to get help. You know what I'm saying? He left rehab, went back home, and he didn't want to get any further help. But you can hear the pain in his music, and
Well, I
that's
think it was some other stuff too as well, you know. But yeah, you know, I think he had what they call survivor's guilt, or you know, what I mean, it's like when you make it to be successful, it can be very
yeah.
off-putting.
But again,
I mean,
some of the pain fuels the music, and I think without the pain, you don't have DMX. I think you know the pain can't be taught. It's like a lived experience that only DMX's Earl Simmons's lived experience was expressed through the music, and it can't be emulated, it can't be duplicated, it can't be replicated. It's just authentically X. Everything that led up to him having his first deal, as you articulated, I think he was on Columbia, Sony. He had the Born Loser project back in '94. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think it ever came
Right.
out up into Money, Power, Respect, up into 4321, up into This
True,
Dark and Hell
true.
is Hot. You know what I'm saying? It all culminated to that. So the DMX that you saw at 27, 28, rocking out at Woodstock and dropping 2 albums in a year. And then
Right.
even a Who We Be joint. I mean, you hear the pain in that joint, but you hear an older
All that's
DMX,
true.
you know what I'm saying? This
All
is what it is. You know what I
all of
mean?
that is true. But I'm just saying, like the members of our families, right? We have certain members in our families to where like this guy's really in pain for real. He really comes from that life, and so DMX drops his first album. It's super successful. We all bought it. We all enjoyed it. Should there been have somebody to say, okay, instead of just vulturing off this person's pain, do we get this person some help? And I understand that that's a touchy subject and it's not everyone's responsibility. We call ourselves culture, which means there's some reciprocity and some returning energy that we give to artists because that is culture. And I'm saying that I think in DMX case, I think that Def Jam, and again, they could have suggested it, and that doesn't mean DMX would listen. So I am aware of that. But I think that they should have, after that first album, instead of just saying, "Well, let's put him back in the studio and let's go," I think they should have got brother some help, man, because you know there were some things that I think DMX was savable. You know what I mean? And again, if a person says no, they don't want help, then I understand. You know what I mean? Sometimes a person's just gonna tell you no. And we've encountered that too in our own families. There's that guy that he just won't get help. You know what I mean? So but I think a effort, you know what I mean, to help that because yes, there is a extraordinary amount of pain and trauma in a lot of rappers' music. We hear it, you know what I mean. DMX came with a certain level though. There was a certain level of pain that was a heightened level to made it seem where it was like let's digest the music, let's buy it, let's support it. But also if we really do care about this person, let's try to offer some type of help or
We don't
something.
but we
You know what
don't
I
know if
mean?
that would happen or not. All we know is that he gave us authentic music, right? And he gave us music that was real, and then the pain propelled the artist that we knew as
Man,
DMX. The person is Earl Simmons. We don't
that
know
was cool.
what happened. Let me get the super chats real quick, and I'm gonna go to the music real quick.
Yeah.
Super chat from Ill Magic says, Gladiator 2 had too many good stories that should have been its own separate films. The Martius, what's his name? Was Mar
Mm,
what was Denzel's character's name? Mar
I don't want to
Martius
butcher the name.
Macrinus. I'm sorry,
Okay, okay.
Macrinus.
Yeah.
Yeah, Macrinus could have been his own film.
Oh yeah, yeah. They could have
They
did
could have
that.
expounded on him leaving in exile. That could have been a whole movie. You know what I'm saying? That could have been a longer part. They kind of showed it as an expository scene of him getting, get sent away from Rome or whatever. That could have showed him as a boy, that journey, him coming to be, and then coming back
Yeah.
to the soldier he became. Should have showed more of his backstory with his woman. Maybe there's a director's cut somewhere. Illmatic with the super chat says, "Why y'all say most of the rappers out of Chicago carry the same dark energy and pain as well?" Would y'all say that
What
all
would you
most of the
say?
rappers out of the Chicago? And would y'all say most of the
Yeah.
rappers out of Chicago carry the same dark energy and pain as well in the 2010s? No, I wouldn't. And I'll say this for a different. I'll say this for a few reasons. Number one, DMX had, again, he was a versatile artist. Like, how's it going down, right? You had songs
Right.
like Slippin', you had Slippin', you had
Classic.
What These Bees Want from a Ninja. You know what I'm saying? He's got different
Yeah, he
records.
can move around.
He's got records for the ladies, you know what I'm saying? And I don't
Yeah.
see that in a lot of these drill rappers coming out of Chicago. I don't see that level of creativity. I see a little bit of now Vaughn has some creative joints like that True Story joint, that story joint that he did. I think he had part one and part two. Yeah, Devon was a little creative with the storytelling and Dirk as well. But a lot of these Chicago drill rappers is really naming people, naming their ops that they've actually had beef with on IG and on Twitter that have actually been transitioned or killed. And I think DMX was a little bit more creative, had a little more versatility, and also he had the spiritual element. I haven't heard a lot of the spiritual elements from those. I could be wrong, so send it to me in the chat or email if I'm missing it. Excuse me, but I don't hear a lot of the spirituality in those Chicago drill records.
I
So
mean,
so the
the
dark
Chicago,
energy is present, but it's not the same as what I'm hearing today.
it's not the same. There was some art. There was not some, but there was a lot of artistic value with DMX. Right there, even though yes, he leaned into Darkman X, but there was a lot of artistic value. With the drill music, I'm not coming down on the youth, but I do recognize that they are youth. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of times we try to act like a 20-year-old is supposed to have the same intellect as a 30-year-old. But the reason why I'm not going to give them a cop out is just because I don't agree. I think they're exploiting a certain a murder rate, right, in Chicago. Now, the reason why I brought one reason why I brought up the thing with DMX is because of what we're talking about right now, right? If we like drill music, right, and I'm sure a lot of us do, then yes, we could consume it, consume it, consume it, consume it, consume it. But that also comes with murder, 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 murder. Now, if we're gonna kill each other, then just say that. If this is how we want to go out, um, just mass murdering each other on mass levels, then just say that, and we'll just kill each other off. If that's what we want to do, I don't care what you want to do. I don't care anymore. So it's like, the samurai, the mafia, they just kill themselves off. That's it. You know what I mean? Now, if we don't want to do that, well, then we're going to have to start putting some things in place. Now, granted, again, everybody's not going to listen, and I don't expect them to because, but you have to start countering the energy. Kendrick Lamar's new song, it counters the energy, whether you like it or not, right? But I don't want to just exploit the murder rate because I think a lot of our towns could do that. You could go in your studio wherever you're at right now if you want to exploit the murder rate in your city. I'm sure you could do that. You know what I mean? But I just think after you've made 20 songs of doing that, is it that creative? Is that all that you can do, or is there something else that you can do? That's all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a little different. But let's go into the 20. We picked the editors of According to Hip Hop, our small editorial team, few as
Right.
they might be, came together and we picked DMX's songs off his albums. We didn't pick, his features. We didn't pick, 4321, Money, Power,
Right.
Respect, things like that. Money, Cash, uh, Woes, Pros, 304s. We didn't pick that. We just picked 20 DMX songs off his album. Let me share the screen. Oh, what happened?
I got a blank screen right there.
Oh, what happened? The MacBook is tripping. Hold on.
All right.
Let
Well,
me.
I picked 10, and a lot of them is basically like his first album. You know what I'm saying?
What's going on?
But that's because me personally, after that first year, I kind of tuned out of DMX, and that's no shot at DMX, but that's just like if y'all remember the times, there was like a bunch of rappers coming out all at the same time. So when you get into 99, 2000, it was just hard for me to keep up with everybody coming outside to rap. So I kind of tuned out of DMX by that time. But his first couple of albums, absolutely. I listen and I got a lot of my favorites are within those right there. You know?
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So anyway, go to www.accordinghiphop.com for the full list. But here's the list we're gonna go through really quick. Top 20
Hmm.
DMX songs of all time. No particular order, really, but number one, Get At Me Dog. I mean, I remember watching Rhapsody in the basement, trying to wait up all day and all night for this video. The black and white joint by Hype Williams. You got Russell Simmons in the video, you got Leo Cohen in the video. Somebody else made
Hmm.
an appearance. I think maybe I don't know who else made an appearance in the video, but the video is dope. It's dark, it's gritty. In the
Fire.
back with your lucky that you breathing, but you dead from the waist down. On your line,
Right?
talking that you be talking. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Get at me, dog. Number
Fire.
one. Slipping. Come on, slipping, man. Slipping is again, it's that personal record. Again,
Mhm.
he's letting you know who Earl Simmons is, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just a smooth joint. You know what I'm saying? It's a yeah, he's talking about the things that you mentioned, Leroy. He's talking about depression.
Mhm.
He's talking about trauma. He's talking about the fight,
Mhm.
coming from that environment. So slipping, and again, the artist informed the music. You know what I'm saying? You hear the pain in this record.
Right.
Number three, this was a record that DMX didn't like at first, right? I think the legend has it when Swiss played him the beat, he was like, "I don't want to hear this rock and roll shit." You know what I mean? I want the
Right.
dog. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
this became one of his biggest hits. I remember watching Showtime at the Apollo. I don't know if Mark Curry was hosting it. I don't know if Steve Harvey was hosting it, but I
Mhm.
remember when he did this joint at the Apollo, and it was crazy. Or maybe it was the remix. X is gonna give it to you wrong.
Okay.
It was
Yep, yep.
crazy. I think they took it off YouTube, but I can't find the joint. But this Apollo performance is crazy. So Rough Riders Anthem,
Mhm.
number three. Number four, what we got? Number four. I skipped on Stop Being Greedy.
I've been greedy.
I've been eating long
Fire.
enough now. Stop being greedy. You know what I'm saying?
That was
Uh
fire, man.
Fire record. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
How's it going down? Again, a smooth joint. So that's why I get a little offended. And
Mm.
we're gonna compare how's it going down. And we'll compare
Okay.
Luther and just see the dichotomy of these records. You know what I'm saying? It's a little
Well,
different.
man,
It's a
I
little
don't I
different.
don't need the comparison for Kendrick. You know what I mean?
But you mentioned it earlier. You said
That's like 20 years after.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little
No,
it's,
no, I get it. We can do that. I ain't tripping.
so how's it going down? This got the ladies
Yeah.
liking DMX. I mean, the ladies, they gravitated toward the brother, but this record right here, the ladies
Mhm.
love this joint. You know what I'm saying? I remember being a little shorty, and the little girls loved it. This made them fall in love with X.
Mhm.
Uh, Number six, Ninjas done
You got
started
what you
some
came for. Surgery with a chainsaw.
right, right. Locks
Bar.
and Mace, crazy record off. It's dark
The
and hell is
Mason
hot.
and locks be making styles on the out of state spot. Anybody make it hot, get found in vacant lot. You don't really want to come try the one guy. Come on, Mason's going crazy.
It was going crazy on that record. Damien, the dark and the light. You know what I'm saying? It's a
Fine.
dark concept record talking about the evil entity of Damien trying to take over him, trying to take his
Yeah.
soul.
Yep.
It's a
All right.
horrorcore again. It's a horrorcore song. You know what I'm saying? DMX was gifted in kind of talking about the dark and the light, but he was always talking about the light and trying to lead people to the light. But he was letting people
But
know
that
about the
yeah,
ills of the devil, and this record kind of encapsulated
that's
that.
like peer pressure too, though. That's from Kendrick Lamar. But what I mean is, like in that song, you don't have to make it the devil. That could have been just like friends. He could have been just explaining peer pressure, because that it works both ways. You know what I mean?
Number eight, What These Bees Want from a Brother, with Cisco. Oh man, this record. I think about the shot of Gloria
Yeah,
Velez
crazy.
on the whip with Cisco
I know
going
that is.
crazy. Shout out to Gloria Velez. We were trying to get on the pod to kind of talk. She was doing a pod with Vlad. I don't think they really
Mm,
worked out, but we were trying to do a pod with her on According to Hip Hop. Those conversations are ongoing. She has interesting stories, other than the fact that she was a beautiful woman for her time.
yep.
She's got interesting stories and she's very intelligent. Not all the things that she says we agree with, but I mean, she's very smart. She has a wealth of knowledge in the game. But that iconic shot in this video was crazy. What they want,
Mm,
you know what I'm saying? I think Nokio did the beat from Drew Hill, so that was another hidden
yeah.
fact. The beat was dope. It's all good. Um, it's all good. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Uh,
I remember.
you remember that joint? That was number 10, of flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, my ninjas.
Hmm.
How'd you feel, Leroy, seeing 100,000 people at Woodstock saying this?
And
Or
that, I
do
mean, this is where I kind of tuned out, because, like I'm saying, like I was just over it by then, man. You know what I mean? I
I mean,
think
but
like
it was the same
a
year
lot
though.
of
It was the same
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. I think a lot of it, what we think that these people really feel the music. Like when 50 Cent came out, America was just like, yay, 50 Cent. Like, just because they buy your music don't mean they relate to what you're saying. And that's one thing I don't think hip hop ever really digested. A lot of people are curious about DMX, and curious about 50 Cent, and that's why they bought the record. But it's not like they can relate to where these guys come from like that. You know what I mean? Just
A later DMX record. I forgot what record. Was this on Grand Champ or was this on
I
the
remember
Great
that.
Depression? I think this might have been in the Great Depression.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah, yeah.
right
Great
here.
depression.
We
Mhm,
we ain't going anywhere. Yeah, it's one of his later records. It was a hit. It was crazy, crazy.
mhm.
Let Me Fly, number 12.
Fire.
Again, another spiritual record. You know what I'm saying? Balancing the dark and the light. Let Me Fly was dope. That's what makes It's Dark and Hell is Hot one of the best
Sometimes it's
records of
better
all
to be
time.
thought dumb. Shit like one.
What's My Name? And then
I
there was X. Big record. Big record. Big record.
remember that.
I remember Holding Figures That's Big as Jiggers. That's that bull. You know what I'm saying? It was a crazy record. Kind of set that project off. I think he's at the apex. I don't know. I don't think he's at the apex. He's still a bright
He's at
star.
the apex. Yeah, he
He's
started to
still
come down from there, bro.
he's
Respectfully.
Who We Be. Now this record's a deep record. I mean, Who We Be is the
Mhm,
joy, the pain. You know what I'm saying? He's breaking it down, the dichotomy of life,
mhm.
the paradigm of life, and how it can is a reflective of different states. It's the good and it's the bad. It's the love and the joy, the pain, the rain, the sunshine, the friends, the foes. This is how it goes.
Yeah,
I would spit it, but I don't want to get laughed at. But Who We Be,
mhm.
one of DMX's best records. I think this record I listened to. I used to have this on repeat, man. I used to listen to it every day
Yeah, no,
in
that
the
was crazy.
morning. It was a mantra, man. Who We Be, man. It's a very
Yeah, no,
painful
it's fire.
record, but it's also a very introspective record. Where the hood at? Uh,
Mhm,
I'm from the burbs, so I use this phrase a lot. Where the hood at, man? You know what I mean? Because I feel what he's
I
saying.
mean,
where the hood at? A lot of this stuff
hey,
is like, "Man, where the hood at, man?" You know
Jadakiss
what I mean? It's
Jadakiss
just,
was just talking about he went to private school, man, but the private schools be in the same city with the public schools, so it's
but
just
it,
like
but it, but it ain't, it ain't,
just
it
because you
ain't.
from the suburbs don't mean
It,
you not from the hood.
and I think he's talking about the hood in a way that's not, not negative. It's like as a mentality. It's kind of like it's synonymous with a different type of mentality. So when he says where
Yeah.
the hood at, you know what I'm saying? He ain't saying theoretically that you got to be, this is the way I interpret it. Somebody from being from the suburbs is how I interpret
As
it.
the way you interpreted
The way
it.
I interpret it, he ain't saying like where the hood at as far as you being in that element of the hood, but he's saying, man, where the hood at is the mentality. Like where the hood at? Like a lot of the
Yeah,
stuff
where is the representation
yeah,
of
like
that side of the city?
where the hood at? You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? A
I
lot of this stuff
understand.
is it's like a weakness that's going on, and DMX is observing. It's like, man, where the hood at? That's just my take
Right.
and my critical interpretation
No, no, you're
analysis of
right,
the
you're right.
record.
Yeah.
When it's on, it's on.
Mhm.
Hold on one second. Hold on a second. Talk about this record real quick, Leroy. I'll be right back.
Shit, I mean, I'm not sure if I even it's on. Like, what record is that, y'all? You know what I mean? What record is that? But I'll give y'all mine. I gave y'all the intro to the first album, Fire. Just how he comes in, setting it off is fire. Look through my eyes, get at me, dog. Uh, Let me fly, Damien. How's it going down? Stop being greedy for my dogs. The convo, y'all started something. So that's all basically like the first album right there, and that's the album that I really was into. And slipping in Who We Be, of course. He just spoke about Who We Be. He's dropping like one word, the pain, the joy, the all these things, right? But and that's what makes the song like classic in my opinion. But what I say about all these feelings that he's expressing in his music, I don't think hip hop has ever dealt with these feelings. I think that we have said them on record, yes, but the inner workings of these feelings, I don't think hip hop has ever went there, except for a few exceptions, right? You have Joe Button and stuff like that, who goes deep into an emotional bag, right? But I think that that's a firewall that hip hop must go through to come out on the other side of making more powerful records. So, that's just one way I feel about that. But DMX, he's a master at just dropping all the different, the dichotomies and opposite spectrums of joy and pain and all the stuff in between.
Right, I can feel it. This was one of the editors picked this. One of the editors, I didn't pick this one in my top 20, but one of the editors did. They thought
Okay.
it was I guess they liked the sample, the Phil Collins joint, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it was cool.
It was a
Yeah, I'm
cool
not mad.
record. I wouldn't put it in the top 20, but I think there's a collaborative effort, and one of the
Ah,
editors picked this. Number 18, some X-ish off Rough Riders
mhm,
Volume 1. That's a crazy record. A lot of people don't remember that joint. If you do remember, you know how crazy this record was. Um,
mhm.
Very raw record. Number 19, Make a Move. This is from 1994. So this is on the Born Loser project that got scrapped. He remade it. And I think he put it on
Mhm.
Flesh on My Flesh, Blood on My Blood. But there's a different version of Make a Move that came
Oh,
out.
right. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah,
But
I
this
mean,
one, if you go to
no,
if
it
you
was. I think it was on the album after that though, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
and then you got Tales from the Dark Side. Again, I don't know what the editors did. I didn't pick this one. I had I had
No,
another
no, you good.
I didn't pick this number 20. I wasn't Tales from the Dark Side is cool, but I had
Mm.
what I
No,
had
it's
on
all
there.
good. I mean, you do. You know, not
I had something else on there. I
okay.
had Good Girls Like Bad Guys. I had another party joint on there. But anyway, that's the 20
Okay.
records. Let me know what y'all think about that. Yeah, that's the
Now it's
record.
fire. That was fire for the most part. You know what I mean?
That's the record. So DMX, his life and his legacy. Um,
Mhm.
Hold up, let me go back out. Hold on. Yeah,
That's
that's
dope.
Dark Man X, B.
Yeah, no. DMX, he definitely was a thing. You know what I mean? And to put it lightly, but I do think we should start considering. You know what I was talking for when a person comes out and sells like a bajillion records and he's the biggest thing ever in life. If this person is exhibiting characteristics that could be detrimental to themselves, I think we should say, hold on, like, we should try to, and again, people are not going to always accept, but there is always somebody who could get this person's attention and could really help them for real. It could be their wife, it could be their own kid, it could be somebody will they'll talk to and they'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna get my shit together. You know what I mean? Because it's better that you be here alive and healthy and functioning than you to be, in jail or dead. You know what I mean? So, and
Right,
that again, I'm not no judgment. I'm just saying us as a culture will lean into one side and just leave it there. We'll never try to venture to the other side of the light. We'll just stay right here in the dark and stay here. And I'm ready to move into a different trajectory, yo. That's all.
right. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, if X came out in 2025, the industry would have buried his music and moved some melodic vibes, non-rapping rapper to the front of the aisle.
And
Uh
Ray Roger RJ, the native troll, he said, "Why don't you start an organization to help rappers' mental health? We got already on deck. Rhymecology, look that up. You're a rapper, you need some help. Got you."
Lord Vachai with the super chat says DMX dogs for life. Back to Jermaine Johnson's point. I don't think the world can produce any more DMXs. I
Do
think
we want that
But
though?
no,
Do we want a DMX?
no, not a carbon copy DMX. Let me land my plane here. What I'm saying is that I think the way that so again, I hate being the old man saying these things about the
Right.
internets and high speed internet and fiber optic cables and Googles and social medias and Facebooks and metas and
It's here
IGs.
now.
But
It's
I
here.
don't think I think that the pain that you hear from DMX, he all this is culminating in a time where there's no phones, there's no high speed internet. You know what I'm saying? There's no Instagram. There's no social dopamine by getting likes and clicks, even though we want you to hit and subscribe. We need that social dopamine for other reasons. Um, so I don't think the environment is conducive to create another X because information is so readily available. We're not we're not that
It-
pain is manifested in different ways. So I don't think we can have another DMX for a label to even
it's
reject.
the DMXs are out there. If you want to go find someone who's extremely trauma based, they're out there. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, and again, this is not a clowning of the DMX. This is the environment that creates a DMX. If we want another DMX, then we also have to deal with the environment that creates that. Do we want that always to be the environment that we hold so high? Like, oh man, we got to be from the hood. It got to be, I mean, abandoned buildings, homelessness, drug addictness, murder. Does that always have to be the highest pinnacle of what we consider art? You know what I mean? Like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, again, Jadakiss was just talking about how he went to private school and all that. And the reason why I'm bringing it up because someone said you should bring that up, so I'm bringing it up, right? But um, the, I think we need to change a view of how we perceive things. And again, some people will co-sign it. They'll see me in the street and say, "Okay, I co-sign what you're saying," but get in front of cameras or get online and they're like, "Oh, well, that's not cool." You know, it's like, what we got to be real or we're gonna be fake. Like, what are we gonna do? And again, it's not the, if we get another DMX, that means the environment that DMX comes from is still very active, and that I think we need both sides. Like the private school Jadakiss, I think we should get that perspective, and it should be looked at as just as gangsta. I think the nerd kid who is reading books and going to class and getting straight A's, I think that's gangsta. Do you know? I think that is gangster. Now, how that works out, I could explain, but believe me, it's an equation there for that. I think that's gangster. Like, so it's like we need to change that perspective. You look at the mafia or whatever. Not everybody was tough in the mafia. Some guys had different jobs. Some jobs was to study law. Some jobs was to become a chef. Some jobs was to be, some guys were drivers. Not everybody was tough, but they, you know what I mean. So it's like you know, and again, I don't want. It's not a preaching thing that I'm doing. It's a culture thing to widen the scope of the culture. Like, but as far as just talent, DMX had an immense amount of talent, and I don't think we'll have someone as far ranging from the dark to the light who can explain it in that way with that level of artistry. The man even make you appreciate dogs more. You know what I'm saying? He'll make you appreciate dogs more. Like, you know what? I love my damn dog, man. I don't have a dog right now, but I've had many pit bulls in my lifetime. You know what I mean? But it's like, and Rottweilers. But DMX will make you, I love my dog. You know what I mean? Because, you know, that's a thing. You know what I mean? Dogs hold it down. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
No doubt. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, the continuous pattern of one word lyrics names is what makes who we be and what these
Yes,
hippies want special. That is very true.
very true.
That's very true. That's
Mhm.
very true.
He killed that. He killed that. You know
But
what I
yeah,
mean?
man, shout out to DMX. We wanted to touch on him as an actor as well. Belly, he was in Belly. What was he in? What was DMX's filmography?
Belly to
Cradle
be
to the
studied.
Grave.
And again,
Romeo,
like
was it
I said,
Romeo Must Die? What was it?
what if Belly is not two characters? You have Nas and DMX, right? What if that's the same character? I want y'all to watch Belly again with a Fight Club mentality and pretend that the same character is both DMX and Nas.
Didn't they say that
Just
was
to do.
didn't they say that was the some that was the catch?
I never heard that aside from me saying that myself.
No,
But
I
if
heard it.
someone said that,
Somebody
I
said
would
that
not be
before.
surprised.
Or did you
I
say
would
it?
not be surprised.
Maybe you said it before on the show.
Yeah,
I heard
I
somebody
have said it on here before, but I think that it should be that's a case study in hip hop culture. We need to realize that that may have been the same person. Do you know what I mean? Like D, Sincere and Buns may have been the same guy, just living out different parts of their story. So
Right.
I think we need to look at that, and that makes sense to DMX music and Nas's music too. You know what I mean?
Uh I haven't seen all these DMX films, but he was his first credited film appearance was 1998 in Belly, 2000 Romeo Must Die, Exit Wounds 2001, Cradle to the Grave 2003, Never Die Alone 2004, The Last Hour
Yeah.
2008, Death Toll 2008, Jump Out Boys,
And
2008. Lockjaw, Rise of the Kulev
to the
Serpent,
to
2008.
the resident idiot, right? We have some MAGAs in here, you know, the dumbasses of the space. It is that deep. If you look at Belly, how many different stories of a
Hey,
man's experience
can you get to that after I'm finished with my list? We can get to the
is being
addressing the people.
is that deep?
Can
Sorry.
you get to the chat after I'm done reading my you kinda interrupted me.
I didn't know he played so many movies. You ringing off a
Uh
lot of movies.
2009, The Bleeding. 2020, then he had a big jump. 11 years for his next film appearance. The Fast and the Fierce, Death Race, 2020. 2020, Chronicle of a Serial Killer. 2019, oh well,
Mm,
it's out of order. Beyond the Law. 2018, Pimp. And 2021, Fast Vengeance. I haven't seen these movies. I think I've seen like four of them. I think Cradle
right.
to the Grave was the last one I saw.
I mean, no, but DMX. The reason why I'm saying things could have went totally different from DMX is if you watch his movie roles, listen to his songs, watch some of his interviews. This is a very intelligent person that is plagued by his trauma. But those people are savable, in my view. Those people are very savable. And it's just, I'm saddened by the point that all we wanted to do was just take and take from him. Just make new music, make new music. That's all we care about. And it's like, bro, like, you know what I mean? So, man, and again, if it's just me, sorry, if it's just me, but I think if we really care about these artists, we should show some care about their personal life. Like, if we really care that much. Now, again, we can't hold their hand every day, but just show some form of care and just see what happens. Because I think DMX was savable. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Let's go to our next topic of the night.
Just do it.
Luther.
Come
Luther.
on, Kid
Luther.
Kung Fu.
The
Kung
video.
Fu.
The video of Luther dropped on Friday. This video was directed by what's the young lady's name? The video was directed by Karina Evans. She directed a lot of Drake videos. She did In My Feelings, she did God's Plan, and she did Nice for What by Drake. She directed this video. I thought the video
Mm.
was nice. Very cinematic.
Really?
I thought the video was nice. I thought the video was really cinematic. I thought it was well put together, well shot. I like the cinematography, I like the color palette of it. I thought it was a good video. I really did. I think it was
Yeah, you know,
I
yeah.
like the record Luther. I think Luther is one of my I mean, you can't beat the Luther Vandross sample, but I thought it's one of
Right.
I think him and SZA make good music together. I think 30 for 30, this record, and then they got another joint. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Mm.
Um Again, I thought it reminded me of like one of those Diane Martell videos back in the day, or even
Yeah, it was
uh,
cool. You know. You
I thought it
know.
was. I'm trying to think of another video director. I'm trying to think that had that kind of look. I think maybe Diane Martell would be one of the person I'm thinking about. It has this like that gritty
Look
look,
that up.
that grainy look, that filmic
Okay.
look.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying,
What
man.
say you? What's-
I think we need to go in the film arena, you know, and sometimes we have, you know, like you got the Hype Williams era and stuff like that. But I think we should go there, man, because I think if we went the Hollywood route, the movie route or whatever, I think probably some of the best stuff in movies will probably happen if it emerges out of hip hop. Now, I could be wrong, but I put some faith in hip hop in that regard. But I like the video more so. I'm just like the vibe of the song, right? Only because you know, like the song, I think is cool. I don't think it's like if I had to compare it to that X song we were talking about, I'd have to go with the X song. You know what I mean? How's it going down? But just the vibe of the song I think is very necessary, and I want everybody to just, if you're gonna go to that show, you're obviously a Kendrick, you know, a hard, you're part of his base, right? Linger in that energy when it comes on, you know what I mean? Because I think to address that, what we were just talking about with DMX and the trauma connected to that, I think a healing process should happen, right? So that Kendrick song and the vibe of that is sonically part of that healing, right? Even with Wiz Khalifa, if you have a different way of meditation, right? I think that that is Wiz Khalifa is part of the healing process that hip hop needs to go through. You know what I mean? So I think that needs to happen. So with Luther, I think musically that that needs to be put at the forefront, whether you like the song or not. Just because I do think in a relationship arena with hip hop, I think a healing factor needs to start taking place, and that music like that will begin that process, and then we could get back to the we're going to get back to the club later, I'm sure, but I think that's necessary, you know what I mean, because we are connected culturally to the sound of the music. We make that culture. Other people, it's just music. It ain't their culture. With us, music is our culture. So languish in that, or not, that's not the word, that's not the right word, but cling on to that sound or linger in that sound a bit, and let's try to fix some stuff up, you know what I mean, because I was watching another video, and they were talking about how Kendrick, basically they're saying Kendrick's not the savior, right? And that's fine. There are ways you could look at that, because you have extremists, right? They want someone to physically go outside and fix every problem physically, and I understand that, right? We do need doctors, we do need lawyers, we do need people that police officers. We need people that physically go fix problems. I don't think that's Kendrick's job, but I do think there is a role for for Kendrick's role, right? His role is to create an environment musically to where stuff can be fixed, right? I was watching a Ryan Coogler interview earlier today, and he was talking about in Oakland how they had to it was kind of dangerous to go to parties for obvious reasons, right? So because the music would create now these are neighborhoods that already have attention, and now when you add certain music to it, it's up. You know what I mean? So it's like um we need to keep that in mind, right? And I do think we'll come out stronger on the other side, because some people would say, well, a song like Luther, that's gonna make us soft, right? If we get into a love bag, we're gonna be soft and weak and emotional. I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I think we'll come out of that actually stronger and more focused and more going through that phase. So that's why I like the song, and I think it's a healthy balance to the other type of music we hear out here. You know what I mean?
Poets and rhymers, you said that you thought that SZA and Kendrick should have been a couple in the video. Yeah, that could have been the case, but I mean, no
It'd
disrespect
be
by this,
weird.
but I think that SZA's a little bit, I don't think they would have. She's a little bit too kind of how can
Kendrick's
I
married. It's
how can I put
also
this? But if they're just acting in the video, I think her statue is a little bit
uh,
too. She's too
true. Yeah, she's tall. She's
statuesque.
taller than Kendrick.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
that probably wouldn't have been a good look, and I mean that with all due respect. It would just probably she
yeah,
might
of
have
course.
been
Yeah,
just too much to handle.
aesthetically.
It might have been too much to handle. I think he wanted something more aesthetically that he
Yeah,
could, more supple. Yeah,
I
maybe
mean, there
that's what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
we
Just a little bit
we
more.
as just a jewel real quick about aesthetics. We as black folks come in all shapes and sizes, right? Well, there is a science to that. We kind of pick one aesthetic of how a person should look, and we say this is the best kind of human if he looks like, I don't know, pick somebody, Morris Chestnut and Beyonce.
Wait a minute. Go ahead,
Take
brother.
take it where you want. I don't care. But we have a certain aesthetic. We'll say this is how you're supposed to look. Well, actually, we come in all different shapes and sizes, and there are also advantages to that. There if you people want to go there, right? There is a study that black folks have done, and there were certain people that have come in through the culture that were very short and very powerful. There are people that have come through that were very tall and very powerful. There are people that have come through that are a little overweight. There are people that come through that are skinny. But all of these different types have offered something very powerful in our culture. And that's not an accident. So that's all I was saying. People want to go there. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. But yeah, anyway, I thought the video was cool. The person I was trying to mention earlier, the director, is called Sophia Mueller. She directed
Okay.
Hips Don't Lie for Shakira, Gwen Stefani, Cool. She directed Maroon 5, She Will Be Loved. She
Mm.
directed a whole bunch of videos that have that kind of look, that aesthetic to it. So look up Sophia Mueller. I think she did Blink 182
Oh,
videos. Dope director. They had a lot of dope videos back in the day. There's not an outlet. And my hope and dream is to one day on According to Hip Hop have like a platform, have a whole show dedicated to music
oh, and
videos, to
Mad
show
Max
music videos.
and Kendrick is not married. Okay, my mistake. But even people like to beat up on Kendrick too. I think that's necessary. Like if you feel a way, then beat up Kendrick. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so you could get that out. Do you know what I mean? And I think that for a lot, and I don't, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, Mad Max. But what I'm saying is there's some people that they obviously feel a way about Kendrick, and it's like get that out. I think that's necessary. Like you need a target to throw your arrows at. So Kendrick is that for a lot of people. So we need that. Somebody that people can just be mad at. You know what I mean? And so
Well, I
do
think I
that.
think it's I think it's a generational thing, right? I think the generation that came up on Jay and X and Nas, um,
Okay.
don't really kind of connect with maybe what Kendrick is doing, right? 'Cause they really don't. It doesn't resonate with them as much as the other stuff did, right?
It's melodic rapping.
Yeah, it sounds
Right.
different. So
They
so
relate to
you came from Jay, you came from Nas, you came from
them.
DMX, you came from Pac, Big, then you came in the Wayne era and the Dipset era, and then you had Jadakiss to kind of and Fab, and then 50, and then you had Wayne, and then you had Drake and Nicki, and then you go to Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit
Right.
different. You know what
Well,
I'm saying? So maybe that's what some of the
I'm in the
resistance of it
studio
is.
now.
Right.
I'm in the studio now recording a bunch of verses for a project with a lot of young people, right? So
Right.
I'm leading off songs, right? Because I'm writing pretty quickly and recording pretty quickly, right? In the last week, so I'm starting the songs off, right? But I'm I have to get used to some things because this generation are melodically rapping. They're not just barring. The bars have a melody to it. This is not my comfort zone. But if I want to exist in this new era, then I'm going to have to get comfortable in that zone. Now I don't now if some people they don't want to do that, that's fine. You don't have to do that. You could go the Griselda route and be perfectly okay. But I'm just saying this generation, there is a melodic tone to that, and they have expressed to me why that's there, why it makes sense, why these songs catch people's, why it's catchier for people, and I can agree with them. Like, we don't always have to challenge the youth, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we gotta just agree with them. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you're right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to switch up my flow a little bit too. So I won't make it melodic, but I'll do flow switches, you know what I mean? Because we gotta exist together. You know what I mean? We can't just always be my first notion was to say, well, no, I'm just gonna do what I want to do, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm comfortable doing. I'm comfortable with these bars. But we gotta bend and make some what's the word consideration for the youth. You know what I mean? It's got
Right.
to. You know what I mean?
So I was downstairs prepping for the show last night, and because we had a big birthday party for my son, so it was like late. So I
So
wanted I wanted to watch the video. So now normally, I mean, the TV was on like about 10. The volume was on 10. Wasn't even
okay,
loud, right? 'Cause
yeah,
I'm not. I wasn't in the basement. I was in the living room upstairs. My wife was
right.
upstairs. So I put on the Luther video, and I thought, that might nice soothing music. She wouldn't. She was like, "Please turn it." She started yelling, "Turn it on, turn it on." So I turned it down, right?
I'm rocking with it. Okay.
I turned it
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
I turned the volume down to 6, and she said, "Please turn it off." So I thought it sounded nice to me.
Of
I thought she
course, yeah.
would she would appreciate the love song, but so I had to listen.
Hmm.
I had to watch the video this morning. Basically, she didn't want to hear it last night.
Well,
I was trying to set
yeah.
something off, and she was like, "Nah, don't play that." You know what I mean? But
Well, maybe she likes the original song, from Luther himself. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't like that cadence that Kendrick is doing, then you're not gonna like that song. You know what I mean? And that's just that's part of the cadence type of rapping is to some people it's gonna sound really good, and then the flip side to that is it's gonna sound really bad to because that's how melody works. You know what I mean? It's like some people's frequency is just not they don't like how you delivered that cadence because they don't like that cadence. Had it been a different cadence, I'm sure she would have said, okay, that song's fire. But that's just not the cadence that was there. You know what I mean? So that's just part of the and the reason why I appreciate that is because it is harder to do. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm a Wu Tang, Ice Cube, Nas, J guy, but it is harder to rap with melody. I'm just gonna be honest. You know what I mean? And I like to be challenged with something that's hard to do. You know what I mean? So I think we should go there. You know what I mean? As lyricists and just see what happens. You know?
Well, good video. Good video. I liked the video. Thought it was dope. Um, so it is what it is. I give it a thumbs up for execution. But yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah, reluctantly.
no, and I
Ain't
ain't
your thing.
reluctantly. I give credit where credit is due. I thought the video was dope. You know what I mean? I thought the
No, no,
video
no.
was
I'm messing with you.
I thought it was cool. I didn't like the squabble up video. I didn't like it. I
Okay.
thought the squabble up video was okay. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
just didn't that wasn't for me.
it was cool.
I thought the Not Like Us video was okay. You know what I mean? But
That video
I thought
was
this video
crazy.
was smooth. You know what I'm saying? To me, after all the songs on GNX, this is my favorite video from the project.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't like a matter of fact, speaking of videos I did like, again, I'm not a Drake fan, but I thought the Nokia video was dope. I can't even front.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I like the new. I like the Nokia thing because it's just his bag. Like that's his comfort zone, and I think he should stay in his comfort zone. Like that whole when the battle was going on, I think Drake he let it take him out of his comfort zone, and I why I don't know. You know what I mean? I just stay where stay in your bag. You could venture out too. Like when it's time to battle, you could make your battle record, but don't let it push you off out your comfort zone to where you're not even making your traditional records. You know what I mean? Because I feel like Ja Rule could have did the same thing. Now, obviously, he had different challenges, but you know what I mean. Just stay in your comfort zone. Um, but are we done with the Kendrick?
We're done with
There's
the
some other
Kendrick. And
music.
before we get out of here, we're gonna talk about some new music. So but before we do that though, like, subscribe, comment. We need it. We're just trying to get to 100,000. We got some new things that we got coming about. Like the fall, again, we'll have some new concepts. The weekend round will still be here, but we'll have some different concepts. So Thursday, Wednesday show, trying to lock in what day we're gonna do that. I think Wednesday, Thursday is going to be primarily what we do. Then you got mic check on Mondays, but we're trying to incorporate some new things. And we're going to do more on set shows coming about, and then we want to add some female co-hosts to the mix to get a female perspective of what's going on. So um,
Well,
be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for
yeah,
that.
and also if y'all want to see an artist in here, put that in the comment like we want to see y'all. That way I can hit that artist and be like, they want to see y'all. And it is a good chance that they'll show up if they're wanted, by name. You know what I mean? No cap, you know what I mean? Like on some real shit. So if y'all want to see a particular artist that we're speaking about at the time on the show, just say that so I could tell the artist, like, look right here, like these people want to hear your perspective or hear you talk about the album or whatever. So that way we can open the door, and there's a good chance that they'll show up. You know what I mean? So that's one aspect. Um, just real briefly though, before we get into up and coming releases, Lil Russell, make hip hop fun again. I think there's some room to have fun again. Onyx, Lower East Side. That's just a very hardcore album, maybe too hardcore, but I'm a MOP head, so nothing's really too hardcore. I'm an Onyx head too. Rick Hyde from um, Benny's Click, Black Sopranos, the Rick Hyde project. I did enjoy that. That was pretty good actually. And the singles off Wiz Khalifa's record, I rock with that. You know what I mean? So I think that I'm looking forward to Cushion Orange Juice too. So maybe that was part of your up and coming releases.
No doubt, no doubt. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Ill Magic with the super chat says, can I read it? Can I read it? Can I read it? Hold on one second. It'll be spooky if Peekaboo video takes space in Florida.
And MAGA Untitled, I actually am connected like that. Just so you know. But it's not even about me, it's about the music itself. Like, but when I used to tune into blogs, I used to wish that the artist would pop up. That's me. So now that that's a legit option, no cap, you know what I mean? Like, we may want to use that. Now, either way, I'm gonna make that happen. But there's a gap in time as of, the next few months. I'm tapped out, man. Now later on this year, yeah, we gonna make that pop. Whoever y'all want, what in the next few months, I need y'all to call out certain rappers by name so I could show them proof. You know what I mean? But it's up to you. I ain't
I mean,
tripping.
we had a, we. I mean, we had a. I mean, I'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. We had a line. Well, I had a line in the interview on Ye, because he is sometimes in the comments on his burner accounts. But it had to take place in Japan. But I don't want to run the risk of getting curved flying out to Japan and then homie don't show up. That'll be that'll make me upset. Even though I would enjoy the trip to Japan, but going all the way out to Tokyo and then for him to
Right.
cancel. So
Well,
so I haven't explored that opportunity, but there are opportunities to go out there and speak to him. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I'll tell you. I'll just tell people like this, right? The artists, period, not just Kanye, but just artists, period, right? They're very busy. They have a lot of invites to go on a lot of platforms, and they have a very busy schedule. And also the price to actually get them on the show, there is a price with that, right? So it's like when I'm asked, let's say we're talking about Ghost, we were talking about Ghostface earlier, and people was like, "Yo, we want Ghostface on the song." If y'all put that in the comments, not only can I show the person, but it's like it may make them stop what they're doing because trust me, they have a schedule of stuff that they're gonna do, right? And you're kind of pulling them out of their schedule to come here. That's just with all the artists, you know what I mean? Almost all of them. So again, y'all could do that or not do that. I'm just throwing things out there because I am a hip hop fan. I thought this was about hip hop. I thought we all were fans. I thought we all were like really into this hip hop thing. At least I am. So I'm just putting it out there. I have a connection now? Yes. Will I always have a connection to do this? I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's make it rock, man. Make it happen. You know. But Kanye, Kanye is gonna Kanye. There are a few people that's gonna give Kanye grace. I'm out of grace for Kanye. Now, maybe that's not the most spiritual way of being. I'm sorry, but I do have limits, right? For people that want to still give him grace, then go ahead and good luck with that. You know what I'm saying? But me, if I would go to Tokyo anyway, but I'm not gonna be in the same room with Mr. West. Like that's just it. It can't. It will never happen. You know what I mean? Even with an invite. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I would never.
I'll take care of the interview, Leroy. Don't worry about it. But we will have Nas on. I think we'll have Nas on at some point. We'll have Nas on. I think we're trying to get Alchemist on. I'm trying to working on getting Ninth
Yeah,
Wonder
Nas is
Nas.
very difficult, and Ninth Wonder is very Nas and Ninth is very difficult to get on.
Alchemist, we want to talk to him. Two Chains. We got a list of people, and I got this one interview that I've been working on. Her people is trying to line it up with my people. The interview with Big Mama is coming with Lotto. The interview is coming. We're
Yeah,
just trying to get the schedules right. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do it. We got to do it on set, so I'm getting the sets right. But the Lotto interview is coming, and we're going to explore a lot of different things in the coming days about that. But shout
yeah.
out to
To
that.
people,
That's my
people
favorite
would be
interview.
like, "Well, how is it difficult?" Just to let y'all know why it's difficult. Now, aside from their schedule, right? When you ask someone to be on the show, they're gonna look for a date that where they're available to be on your show, right? In between when they set that date and the actual day, different things occur, right? So this is what happens. You know what I mean? If y'all remember, even with the abs, and it's not impossible. Like that, you can get to a space where they'll just start coming through the door on their own, and that's what I would want to happen because I've seen that happen in other spaces to where they'll just start popping up just to come by anyway without you asking them. So we're just want to lay some groundwork for that. But it's like, stuff happens, man. Like these people, they got lives, and they got stuff that they're doing. So they got a career. You know what I'm saying? So that's all. You know.
Yeah,
But
we do what we do. You know what I'm saying? We do what we do. You know what I mean?
oh, it's gonna happen anyway. I'm gonna get to the point where it's gonna happen anyway. I just want the engagement with people here because this is a space where you actually are engaging with the people in real time. And where in hip hop history did that happen? Did it happen in the 90s? No. Did it happen in the mixtape era? No. The blog era? No. I mean, you could comment in the blog era, but the actual people on the show wasn't talking directly to you. You see what the difference is? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it's not just, I feel everybody in the space should be doing the same thing because why not? Like you know what I mean? This is the time to make these connections. You know what I mean? And I'm more interested in helping the people that don't always get the light. You know what I mean? So that's gonna happen too. But we keeping it moving, and it's just to show love, man. You know what I mean? It's just to show love to the people, man, because y'all wanna get to a point to where it's like, yo, I want to know why this song went like this, and I want to ask the artist. And if they're sitting right there, you know what I'm saying? Like it just makes it way easier for you to get your question off. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we're trying to go. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Well, anyway, hit like and subscribe. This is a good show. Any closing thoughts, Leroy, on the music tip before we get out of here tonight?
No, but with the Nas rollout, man, I'm hoping that it's fire. And again, this is no shots at Nas or Mass Appeal, but I do feel like for such heavy lifting, you got Slick Rick, Ghostface, Raekwon, Mobb Deep, and your own album. That's a lot of heavy lifting. Just do that promo run. You know what I mean? Why not? Like I can't see a place where they don't embrace Nas if he's actually comes through. Now I've heard that happens. Maybe it does, but I can't picture that. I can't picture somebody being like, "Oh, Nas, nah, we don't want to talk to him." Like I don't know who does that in hip hop. So it's
Hey,
like I
hey,
would like to
hey,
see it.
Leroy, let me address this real quick. Hey, we did a second interview with Absol. So the first interview you saw, he did have his connection was bad, but we did it a week, a couple of days later. So it should be on the page. So if you go look on the page, it's a secondary Absol interview that's a little bit better. His connection's better. So yeah, the first interview, it was choppy. The connection was bad. We did a second interview. So check that out. It's on the page in case you missed it. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Bro, a lot of these artists, bro, they would actually enjoy coming on the show. To be real, if they don't show up, it's not because they're they don't want to or they feel away. Is literally just scheduling. You know what I mean? And just that. But these anybody that dedicates their life to putting out music, they're fans. Like that they're also fans, y'all. You know what I mean? So they would they want to chop it up, man. It would just make it easier to just show them personally like yo like our fan base really wants y'all in the building, man. Ghost Ray, whoever whoever it is. So yeah, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, we appreciate you as always. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us tonight on a Sunday evening. The weekend rhyme. We're back at it. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, we got some new music. Hopefully, J. Cole will give us the fall off so we can talk about that because I've really been saying the fall off's been coming for weeks now, and I've been made to be a liar, and it hasn't come, and it's really disappointing. And I want him to drop the album so we can have something to talk about. But yeah, so again, put like and
That may
subscribe.
change.
Tell a
Yeah.
friend, tell a friend. We appreciate your support. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. And we got some new shows coming, some new content, some new ideas. It's all hip hop, all love. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace, y'all.